Do you remember in Romeo and Juliet, that famous phrase, "What's in a name?" And then the comment, "A rose by any other name would smell as sweet." Well, you have two star-crossed lovers with different last names, and it's the names that are getting in the way. We can never come together because these names are keeping us apart. Well, that is the question. What's in a name? And yet there's a lot in a name. And I wonder if you named a rose some other name, if it would change the smell. If there's just too much baggage, the sound in your ear or the word in your mind, like, I would never want to smell something with a name so gross. I'll take rose any day. Well, with that in mind, think about the importance of names. And in section 115, we see the official name of the church pronounced by the Lord himself. And in recent memory, the Lord's prophet, Russell M. Nelson, has reemphasized this is the name of the church. And we're willing to go through all kinds of effort to rebrand and rename and the church website and the logotype and all these kinds of things to honor the Lord's request in section 115 to call his church by the name that he's given it. There is something important about naming. When our firstborn was born and trying to decide on a name for her, we felt so clearly the reality of her middle name, that she was to be named Tabitha because that's who she is. And it's interesting to see as the years passed, her grow into that Tabitha identity. Even without her fully even understanding, this is her personality traits. It's like that was an inspired name. When we gave birth to our second, and I really wanted to name him Jonathan because I love Jonathan in the Old Testament. But after 2 days in the hospital and we were about to leave, I said to my wife, I can't do it. I love the name, but that's not him. This son, I don't know who he is, but he's not Jonathan. Who is he? And she was like, I'm so relieved because I felt the same thing, but I know how much you love that name. Well, finally, we settled on Jacob, and as the years have passed, that's the perfect name for him. Our third is named Madeline, which is a name that we drew from family history, one of the few non-scriptural names that we chose for our children, and yet feeling that, yes, this is a daughter who will connect with Madeline Malin, this magnificent ancestor. And fittingly, that daughter is the most interested in family history of any of our children, any of our nieces and nephews. That I don't know what it is. There is something to a name. So let's honor that. In section 115, look at verse 3 and 4. Also unto my faithful servants who are of the high council of my church in Zion, for thus it shall be called. So I want to get that clarified. Zion, I'm going to call that. It's going to be a high council. I want to call it that. My church, I want to call it that. So let's clarify it all. Unto all the elders and people of my church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, scattered abroad in all the world. And then he reiterates it. For thus shall my church be called in the last days, even the church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, I know that's a mouthful. And in history, it's hard not to use Mormon and Mormonism because that's what it's always been. But to pay the price and go the extra effort to clarify that this is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Early on, they called it the Church of Christ. And then realizing, will people even know how we are distinguished from other Christian communities? They called themselves the Church of the Latter-day Saints. But in some ways, that was an overswing, because by referring to ourselves as the Church of the Latter-day Saints, we just lost the name of Jesus. So finally here in 115, can we combine the two? That we are Christian, but Christians of the latter days. We are saints, or strive to be, in the latter days, just like there were saints that Paul was writing to in the ancient day. It's a magnificent title, despite its length, maybe because of its length. And yet, if I were to look at those verses we just read, and what's the real name of the church? Yes, capital T, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But I actually prefer the earlier one. It would sound a little different in our mouth, but in the Lord's mouth, the fact he called it my Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that possessive pronoun speaks volumes to me. It makes me wonder, are we claiming him with the same possessive pronoun that he is trying to claim us? Are we striving to be saints? Are we striving to be true disciples of Jesus Christ and belong to a church that bears his name to the world? Apostles are called to bear the name of Christ to all the world. Well, those who bear the name of the church are bearing the name of Christ. And I hope we're doing it well. What's in a name? Think about what Hosea named his children. And one of his daughter was Lo Ruhama, which means no mercy. And his son was Lo Ami, which means not my people. Talk about horrible names to function as visual aids and object lessons for a house of Israel that wasn't claiming God and therefore wasn't being claimed by God. And yet later, to show how people can change and the mercy and acceptance of a loving Father in heaven, Hosea changes the names of his children from Lo Ruhama to Ruhama, from no mercy to mercy personified. Take off the lo from Lo Ami, and it's no longer not my people. Now it is Ami, my people. And can we do that? Are we the Lord's church, my church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? In the Nephite time, they were arguing over the name of the church, and the Savior clarified. You want to have Moses' name in the church? Then it's going to be Moses' church. You name a church after someone else, might as well call it their church. If it's mine and it's built on my gospel, then it should bear my name. In fact, what's in a name? It's interesting how names can be fought over. And no wonder it's so important that we reclaim the name of the full name of the church, because we're reclaiming our Christian credentials. Hopefully we're living up to them. That's one of the reasons that people have a hard time recognizing in us that Christianity, because we were labeled Mormons by our enemies and the name stuck. The same happened with the Methodists. The same happened with the Presbyterians. The Puritans. Same thing happened with the Lutherans. Those were not names of their own choosing. But in an effort to have, not even Christian was the name of their choosing originally. The Jews started calling the church Christians in Antioch, according to the book of Acts. It's almost like everybody wants to maintain brand purity. And no, we don't want to share the name with you. Well, may we claim the name for ourselves and live up to it. It's essential. And then one other thing that I think is worth mentioning in the same breath, section 116, if you move forward. Verse 1 says, Spring Hill is named, so we're still talking names here, is named by the Lord Adam-ondi-Ahman. Because, said he, it is the place where Adam shall come to visit his people, where the Ancient of Days shall sit, as spoken of by Daniel the prophet. What's in a name? You might call it Spring Hill. And in that case, it might look like any other hill in the neighborhood. It might have a spring like any others that have springs that feed the river. But what you think of as merely some spring hill in western Missouri is actually Adam-ondi-Ahman, the land where Adam dwelt, the land of God, the valley of Ammon, the valley of God, where Adam dwelt after leaving the Garden of Eden. Do you know that this is no mere hill? This is a hill with a history. This is a fulfillment of prophecy. This is what Daniel was referring to in his biblical book. We've talked several times in the Doctrine and Covenants about Adam-ondi-Ahman. We just haven't known where it was. Not till this moment, as the saints are gathering there, and the Lord reveals to Joseph where they've come. In fact, Joseph often referred to Independence as the location of the Garden of Eden. But what had happened to the saints in Independence? They'd been driven out, expelled from paradise, expelled from Eden. Well, where did Adam and Eve go then? They went to Adam-ondi-Ahman. And to do that, they went to a new place to begin their lives. And it was there that an angel appeared to help them see the way forward, the way back to the tree of life, the long way around. That altar, where the angel explained for the first time in human history the atonement of Jesus Christ. Talk about giving meaning and purpose to their sorrows, their expulsion, their exile. Well, Early saints, do you see the parallel that you're living? Driven out of Jackson County and now coming to Davies County, coming and resettling on Spring Hill, but it's no mere Spring Hill. This is a return to antiquity. Can you sense your ancestors, Adam and Eve, making similar journeys, and now you are walking in their footsteps to a place of new beginnings and a place where you can come to understand the atonement of Jesus Christ in ways that you never have before. What's in a name? Meaning, purpose, identity. When we were there less than 24 hours ago, we met this wonderful senior missionary, Elder Bear. By the time he hears this, I hope he does, he says he listens, he'll be home. His mission will come to an end next week for me, probably last week for him. And he said he and his wife had served in 3 temples as senior missionaries. And yet this most recent senior mission was his 4th temple mission, Adam-ondi-Ahman, as a place of holiness. He showed us his mission call, the purpose, his mission statement there in Adam-ondi-Ahman. And it was they were called to beautify and to maintain and to prepare the land and themselves for the second coming of Jesus Christ. And that phrase, and themselves, blew me away. That they're doing a beautiful job together with the other senior missionaries of maintaining the land, of beautifying the land, of preparing the land. But preparing themselves, are we all doing that? Do we know what we're a part of? Do we know that this is Adam-ondi-Ahman? Back to the name of the church. Do we know that this is the Lord's church of Jesus Christ, of Latter-day Saints? Are we living up to that identity? Are we worthy of the name that the Lord has given us? I hope so. President Nelson prays that that's the case. May we live up to it. May we live into that. May we recognize where we are and what we're a part of. Because what's in a name? Jesus.